Hey guys, so I'm going to go over the essay assignment for those of you who were gone um, last Thursday or who maybe need a refresher as you are working. So the essay is due on Wednesday when you walk into class. We will not be spending class time on it on Wednesday. So you have last Friday, the weekend, and then Monday and Tuesday in class to be working, as well as Tiger Time or Study Hall. So I'm just going to pull up one of my classes. Schoology set up the same in all of them. And when you go to week 9, you'll notice that there's either the graphic organizer for you to utilize or the blank writing doc. And so I'm going to pull up both just for your reference. And I'm going to go ahead and open this. And then I'm also going to go back and pull up the blank writing doc. Okay. So with the blank writing doc, this is where your final document will eventually go. And so it is just blank. You're going to go ahead and put your name here. So go ahead and erase name here and put your first and last name. And we can go ahead and change this to the 18th because that's when it's actually due now. It was going to be on Tuesday. And then we just have it titled Informative Writing Overcoming Obstacles with Coping Strategies. So this is an informative essay. And what you're doing is you're informing us about, from two different stories that you've read, an obstacle that a character faces and a coping strategy with text evidence and reasoning to support that. And you already have all of this in your text evidence log in your composition notebook. So really, you're transferring your information from your composition notebook to this document. Now, some of you want to just go ahead and start typing on this right away, which is completely fine, knowing that you have three paragraphs in this essay to write. But you're probably still going to have to glance at this graphic organizer because it tells you how to complete the paragraph 3. Now, if you choose to use the graphic organizer, you're going to fill all this out and then copy and paste it into this document when you're done. This is just more of a guided writing for you to use. So, here's the prompt. How can people overcome adversity in the face of overwhelming obstacles? And that has been our unit question since we've started in August. It says pick 2 strategies that were used to overcome obstacles by people you learned about. Use your evidence log for assistance. You may not use the story of Bethany Hamilton or Against the Odds with Sully the Pilot. So notice that in paragraph 1, you need a topic sentence, a lead-in, text evidence, and 3 sentences of reasoning. Paragraph 2, you need the exact same thing. And then paragraph 3, it says in 5 to 6 sentences, reflect on one of the following questions. So read these options, write a reflective paragraph explaining a strategy, write a reflective paragraph explaining a strategy from one of the stories, write a reflective paragraph explaining a true obstacle. Okay, you can read through those and pick which one you want to write about. So if you are going to start in this organizer, we want to start with a topic sentence. That's the first sentence explaining the strategy that a character used. So if I were you, I would pick 2 stories right now from my journal that I remember the best. And the stories that we read were The Grapes of Wrath with the Joad family. We read The Circuit with Panchito. We read A Work in Progress with Amy Mullins. And we read The Young Tinker with William. Okay, so out of those 4 stories, I'm going to look in my evidence log and think, okay, which one has the best evidence, or which one do I remember the most? And so for me, I'm going to pick The Circuit for my first paragraph or story to write about. And for this one, I'm going to do A Work in Progress. You get to choose what stories you want. And just so I remember, I'm going to write Panchito was the main character in this one, and Amy was the main character in this one. Okay. So now in the topic sentence, I need to bring up the obstacle that the character faces and the strategy they use to overcome it. In the lead-in, I need to introduce the title, author, and character, which leads me into the text evidence and then my reasoning. So if you look back on the daily slideshow, I actually go through these with you. This is a slide about what obstacles the characters face. I just kind of made a list here of some of the conflicts or problems that they face. So then you're going to start with a topic sentence. If I am doing this about a story that I read, I'm going to be using an example that's not related to yours. I read an article about stress, and so that was the conflict, and the strategy is meditating. So my topic sentence looks like this. Stress can be an obstacle for many people that affects how they live day to day. However, with the right coping strategies, stress can be managed. One effective strategy to handle stress is meditating. So notice the topic sentence, I simply brought up the obstacle, and many people face this, and that the strategy, one strategy to overcome stress is meditating. Then is my lead in. I'm leading into the evidence. So to do this, I need to list the author and title of the story, as well as the character. So I'm starting with a transition word. For example, comma, in the text, Overcoming Stress by Bill Smith, the character Jake faces many stressful situations. So I listed the title, the author, and the character Jake. And then I give a little bit of background about the story. He comes from a family that routinely talks about mental health because his mother is a nurse at the local hospital. Having this background knowledge has helped Jake stay grounded. Okay, so I bring up the fact that in my article, the character Jake has a mom who's a nurse, and she talks to her family about mental health. So that has helped him to come up with ways to stay grounded with his stress. And I'm going to bring up my text evidence next. So I'm leading into it by using these transition words. For example, he states or he says, and then here's my text evidence. Whenever I start to feel anxious, I take a few minutes to sit in a quiet place and focus on my breathing. Notice I put the quotation because it came from an article. I capitalized the first word. I put it in quotes, and I have page numbers in parentheses. Okay, I don't put PG for page, I just put the page number. So these are the three first parts of that's our topic sentence, our lead in, and our text evidence in our paragraph. And I would type it all here in my graphic organizer. Then I need to add in my 3 sentences of reasoning, explaining how the evidence that I would put up here proves that the character is using their coping strategy and why it's important for others to use this strategy. Okay, so I'm going to do that for my first story, and mine was about one different than yours. So I would do this for my first story, and then I would do the same thing for a second story, which in this case, let's say I chose a work in progress. I would need my other strategy and text evidence from my composition notebook, my text evidence log. So you'd fill both of those out. And then paragraph 3, you're picking one of these responses to answer, and it's a personal opinion paragraph, okay? So that is the gist of your 3-paragraph essay. When you finish this, you're going to paste it into the blank doc. If you're a person who didn't use the graphic organizer, you'll simply need to finish writing in paragraph 3, and then you're ready for editing. So stay tuned for the next steps.